Hello everyone, I am Kenshin. Welcome to Talking About History. Speaking of the Wright brothers, the pioneers of airplanes, everyone must know about them. But if their sister also played a considerable role in the invention of airplanes, not many friends must know about it. Let's talk about Catherine today before the show starts. Please subscribe, share, and turn on the little bell. This will help us grow faster. Without further ado, the show begins. Alright, saddle up, story lovers, 'cause I'm gonna spin you a yarn about two Ohio boys who had their heads in the clouds. Literally. These lads, Wilbur and Orville Wright, who kinda sound like they should be out of a Mark Twain novel, ended up headlining the greatest show above Earth. And yeah, you've heard their names more times than you've lost your keys, but there's more to this tale than your history teacher let on. You see, back when the 20th century was just peeking over the horizon, everybody and their uncle wanted to break free from the clutches of gravity. The sky was the next big thing. Kinda like the internet was for us. And the Wright bros, they weren't just a duo, they were like the Avicii of aviation, a hit wonder in the making. But their road to the first-in-flight marquee wasn't some cakewalk. Picture this, the sandy dunes of Kitty Hawk, more sand than an overzealous kid's sandbox. Our Wright pair didn't just show up and catch air. It was cutthroat, with more flyers than a high school hallway, all racing to scribble their name on the trophy of the skies. Our heroes claimed to fame, a 12-second buzz above ground that might not even score you a decent YouTube short video today. But wait, pump the brakes, 'cause there's a plot twist. This isn't just a bro story. Enter stage left, the unsung hero, Catherine, the Smarty Boots sister. Yup, Kitty Hawk had a Hawk-S. She was the wind beneath the, well, wings, bringing smarts, charm, and a whole bunch of gumption to the Wright family name. While Wilbur and Orville were wrestling with propellers and wing warping, Catherine was pulling strings, making connections, and keeping the dream afloat. The Wright siblings' early bond. So, let me introduce you to the real MVP of the Wright family, Catherine Wright. Born in Dayton, Ohio, smack in 1874, this gal was the baby of the bunch with 4 older brothers to keep in check. After fate had her bid farewell to her ma in '89, Catherine, just a teen, stepped up to the plate, swinging a managerial bat like it was her birthright. Now, imagine Catherine juggling the family's nickels and dimes and dealing with a mailbox thicker than a Thanksgiving turkey, all while her pops was out spreading the good word. Meanwhile, the elder Wright bros had flown the coop, and Wilbur and Orville. They were dabbling in the printing biz before pedaling into the bicycle game in '92. You could say Catherine and her 2 flyboy bros were tighter than jeans after Thanksgiving. Sarah Fisher, Big Chief at the International Women's Air and Space Museum, dishes that these 3 were a tight-knit trio who shared everything from breakfast to heartache. Losing their mom young, that's the kind of stuff that glues you together for good. Catherine was no slouch academically, either. She was the brains of the operation, embodying that Republican mother spirit. Basically, she was the smarty pants every democracy dreams of, slashing stereotypes and taking names, all while scoring a degree from Oberlin College, something her brothers never snagged. Flash forward to Catherine coming back to Dayton post-grad. She's teaching Latin and English to high schoolers by day and keeping up the Wright homestead by night. Alex Heckman from Dayton History spills the tea on how Kath kept the home fires burning so Wilbur and Orville could tinker with bigger toys, like, say, a certain flying machine. Let's be clear, Wilbur and Orville might have had their name tags plastered across history, but it was Catherine's behind-the-scenes magic that set the stage. She did the invisible heavy lifting, the stuff usually doled out to the wives of the world. Thanks to her madhouse running skills, the bros could zero in on keeping their bike shop on the map and blueprinting airtime records. So, let's pour one out for Catherine, the unsung Wright doing right by her brothers. Presenting the Wright brothers. And now, gather round for a tale that takes us back to that breezy, sand-whipped stage of Kitty Hawk in 1900, where our intrepid Wright brothers set their sights, and their strange, bird-like contraptions, against the North Carolina skies. Ain't nothing like a summer jaunt with a side of groundbreaking aeronautics, right? After a season of nosedives and near misses, Wilbur and Orville packed up their notes and headed home, their brains buzzing with the kind of ideas that changed the world. By July 1901, their pioneering work landed in the glossy pages of 2 scientific journals, courtesy of Wilbur's penmanship. That's when the Western Society of Engineers sent Wilbur a VIP invite to Chicago. Spotlight's on you, Wilbur. But here's the kicker. Our man Wilbur was as keen on public speaking as a cat is on a cold shower. Stage fright, you bet. In steps Catherine, with her trademark combo of sisterly nagging and wisdom. In a letter dated September 3, 1901, to their dad, she spilled the beans. She persuaded Wilbur to take the leap. This time, onto a stage, not into thin air. Heckman, our history guru, chuckles over the fact that Wilbur, ever the plain Jane, got a fashion makeover from Catherine, slipping into Orville's snazzier threads. Seems Catherine was playing fairy godmother to ensure Wilbur didn't show up looking like he'd dressed in the dark. Now, let's fast forward to that Chicago stage. Nerves aside, Wilbur did the unthinkable. He wowed M. This wasn't just any chat. It turned out to be an aeronautic mic drop that catapulted the Wrights from hometown heroes to legends in the making. Catherine knew the score all along, telling their pop this was Wilbur's ticket to rubbing elbows with the brainiac elite. This may do him a lot of good, she wrote. Oh, Catherine, if you only knew. According to the brainy duo Nolan and Guybert, that speech didn't just turn heads, it etches the Wrights' names into the annals of aeronautics fame. From Kitty Hawk to the history books, with a little help from Catherine's relentless support and Wilbur's reluctant brilliance. And that, folks, is how you soar from obscurity to the stratosphere. Catherine supports Orville after Crash. So, our ever-vigilant Catherine was juggling her teaching gigs, running the Wright household like a well-oiled machine, and stepping into the bicycle shop fray where she, Lauren, and the Skybound brothers were crafting the future pedal by pedal. But then, hold your horses, 'cause September 17, 1908, threw a curveball that no one saw coming. Orville, up in the wild blue yonder, took a tumble that rattled the very foundation of the Wright dreams. His plane kissed the ground a little too hard at Fort Myer, Virginia, and the aftermath was grim. Orville was banged up real bad, and Lieutenant Thomas Selfridge, who hitched a ride, didn't make it, the first casualty in the name of powered flight. When Catherine caught wind of Orville's crash, she didn't miss a beat. Ditching her chalk and textbooks faster than you can say aeronautics, she was on the next thing smoking to Virginia. Heckman tells us she was a blink and you'll miss her blur, zipping straight to Orville's side, ensuring his care was top-notch. For 7 long weeks, Catherine was the constant in a world of variables, hovering by Orville's bed, offering strength and solace. And when it was time to head back to Dayton, she was there, making sure her brother rolled home in style, wheelchair and all. As autumn leaves danced in the air, Wilbur, from across the pond in France, dropping jaws with the Wright flyer, penned a letter to Catherine that would chart the course of their lives anew. He proposed that Catherine ditch the teacher's life once and for all, join Orville in Europe, and play the role of social manager. You see, the Wrights weren't just about bending air to their will anymore. They were celebrities, and that limelight needed a bit of managing. A month or so later, with Orville on the mend, but still rolling, Catherine hung up her teacher's hat, a gig that had defined her for so long. Catherine promotes brothers in Europe. Catherine, Queen of the Mingle, was the secret sauce to the Wright brothers' continental charm offensive. Heckman will tell you, the gal was all sparkle and shine, radiating the kind of warmth that could thaw the frostiest aristocrat. Meanwhile, Wilbur and Orville, bless M, were about as outgoing as a pair of shy sparrows in a room full of peacocks. Not ones to toot their own horns, they needed Catherine to be the bridge between their high-flying dreams and the high society folks they were wooing. Now, don't get it twisted, Catherine wasn't the gal handling their press buzz or whipping up ad campaigns in an official suit and tie sense. Fisher weighs in. saying that while the brothers did the old grip and grin with Europe's finest, Catherine was playing the charm card, spinning yarns about their airborne escapades in a way that even the nosy neighbor could get. She was like a live-action behind-the-scenes feature, giving people the skinny on how her brothers were rewriting the rulebook on the fly. The job description, well, it was about as extensive as a royal wardrobe. Wright State University librarians tipped their hats to Catherine, crediting her with a Frankenstein blend of roles: social butterfly, a list hostess, promo queen, emissary, and cheerleader. She wasn't just standing on the sidelines. Catherine was up in the air, joining Wilbur for a joyride in Pau, France. Just half a year after Orville's nasty spill, there she was, soaring through the skies on a Wright flyer, making a statement louder than any press release: "Trust my bros, and buckle up." When they regrouped back in Dayton, it didn't take long for the Wright pack to head on over to Washington, D.C. There, in the marbled halls of power, President Taft handed out medals from the Aero Club of America like candy on Halloween, making sure Wilbur and Orville got their shiny due. But it was Catherine, the unsung hero, who caught his eye. The president knew she was the glue holding the Wright House in flight formation. While Wilbur and Orville pocketed their medals, Catherine was there, as always, her support as unwavering as the earth beneath their feet and her social savvy guiding them through the handshakes and hat tips. Catherine Wright's role as archivist. Catherine, the Wrights' unsung heroine, was the keeper of flights and writer of records, flying under the radar while her brothers were busy scribbling their names across the sky. Oh, Fisher's right on the money. It wasn't just Orville and Wilbur hitting the heights. Catherine was their wingwoman, anchoring them with her meticulous records, neatly filing away their successes much before the hashtag records manager was even a twinkle in the digital age's eye. Long before the squeal of jet engines, there was the scratch of pen on paper. Catherine was archiving triumphs, documenting breakthroughs, and acting as the familial lighthouse, guiding all those telegrams and letters to safe harbor. It's no wonder then, that her correspondence is like a treasure map, showcasing the meticulous care with which she charted their journey. And Earl Findlay, bless that man, understood the assignment. Compiling his chats with Catherine, he created a chronicle spanning from the somber aftermath of Wilbur's passing in 1912, all the way to the cusp of the Roaring Thirties. These letters and telegrams dug deeper than the surface sheen of fame. They plowed the furrows of endurance and legacy. Catherine was behind the curtain, orchestrating with the tenacity of a maestro to etch their story in the annals of history through an authentic biography, masterminded for the meticulous Findlay and the resistant Orville. Meanwhile, courtroom dramas over patent skirmishes and Smithsonian squabbles vied for the headline, with Catherine right in the thick of it, armed with her records, a silent sentinel ensuring that credit was duly served. Catherine Wright's legacy. What a twist in the tale for Catherine, once adrift in the shadow of the Wright brothers, her story the dimmer star trailing their comet's blazing passage. It's a familiar tune, women in history, the unsung heroes, often nudged to the margins of the final print. But the winds of change, they do blow strong and true, and Catherine's legacy, much like one of her brother's flyers, is now taking a well-deserved ascent into the limelight. The International Women's Air and Space Museum, that hallowed hall of high flyers, has swung open its doors to an exhibit dedicated to Catherine since the late 80s. Imagine stepping into that room, greeted by the elegant lace ensemble she donned at the White House, the echoes of her laughter almost tangible among her treasured photographs and keepsakes. This exhibit is not just a nod to her legacy, it's the gateway to the entire museum, ensuring that every visitor's journey through time and sky starts with the woman who kept the records, the heart, the Catherine of it all. Fisher hits the nail right on its head. Catherine's story isn't just a leaf plucked from the history books. It's a living sapling, blossoming into an inspiring beacon for all the women gazing up at that cerulean canvas thinking, that could be me. She's the banner waving for the untold numbers of women who stitched their dreams into the fabric of air and space triumphs. It's a vibrant tribute to a trailblazer, a beacon beckoning to every lass who looks at the stars not as distant lights, but as destinations. So here she is, Catherine Wright, emblematic of every forgotten figure who was key to technology's march forward but denied the spotlight. Today, every whisper of her name stirs the pot of that collective memory, and every shared story of her deeds inches us closer to a history more whole, more true. What do you think about this story? Please leave your comments. See you in the next episode.